Alrighty folks, we are back here in a new era on this channel, reviewing the Judas Priest discography. And what other album to start with it then than, kind of a controversial album. And Judas Priest discography, 1974's Rocka Rolla. And it's not like this band, they're just getting their feet wet on this album. And I'll go ahead and say it, I used to despise this thing. I used to just because my first Judas Priest album I ever heard was Screaming for Vengeance, right? So I'm used to the heavy metal, fast, and just, and this is really not anything like that. But after I gave it a listen again for this review, and then, listened to it, I think a couple months ago again, I just kind of grew to appreciate it a little bit. Now, it's not like, the type of Priest I go for typically. It's not something I pull off the shelf very often. Still won't be probably, but I appreciate the album for what it is. The band, it's not like Dio when we reviewed, when I was reviewing him, his first album was just popping off with greatness. Because, he'd been in other bands before, like Elf and Rainbow and Sabbath before that. So this is all these guys getting together and just really trying to find their sound. And, some elements from this album really show in some of their later ones, such as, like the proggy type stuff. There's a lot of time changes, some really parts of songs on here that we'll get into, but alrighty, I'll just jump right into it. One for the Road, track number 1. That's a pretty cool track. I could actually see that track being on maybe a Sin After Sin or a Sad Wings, maybe even a Stained Glass, or maybe not that much, but I could see that being a little bit later. I know they've played that once live, I think, and it's a damn good song, cool opener. Then we've got track number 2, Rocka Rolla. That's got some pretty cool, rhythm. It's got a pretty cool rhythm to it, and the lyrics are pretty cool, kind of funny, and really, it's got a good groove to it. This is really a bluesy album. But like I said, I do appreciate it for what it is now, and I can listen to this and have a good time, jam to it. Track number 3 is kind of an epic piece here. Takes up the whole rest of the side on the album. It's called Winter, and there are different parts of it: Deep Freeze, Winter Retreat, and Cheater. It's 9 minutes 40 seconds, so it's really cool. That's what I'm talking about with the proggy type elements. They end up going on, a little bit later on, or really not even that later on their next album that you see a lot of. But this song's good. I like some parts better than others. I like the cheater part and the deep freeze. But I will say this, the parts of it don't really transition as smoothly as, prog masters like Yes would do, or Judas Priest would later go on to do. So, I do kind of knock it for that, but still a good song. Then my favorite track off this album, on side 2 here, which is Never Satisfied. That is a badass song. That one's actually pretty heavy. And, this is I'd still consider it like a hard rock album. And that song definitely is pretty hard rock, pretty heavy. And I'll tell you this, KK Downing and Glenn Tipton just show exactly what they're about right off the bat on this album. They do some awesome guitar work, except not with the heavy tone, distortion. Instead, it's kind of like a clean tone, but also a little muddy. But really cool tone for them. You don't really hear that a lot from them. Second, we got on the second track, Run of the Mill, which is an 8-minute 30-second song. That one actually does smoothly transition a bit better than the third track, Winter, on the other side. And I think that track got a cool bass groove, real chill, real groovy tune there. So I really like that one. Dying to Meet You is pretty good. Probably the sleeper track on this album to me. It's good or whatever. Nothing to write home about. Then, of course, the final track is a 2-minute little, almost like an outro, Caviar and Meths, which is kind of a funny title, but that's cool too. Also kind of just real slowing it down, kind of a good ending, fitting into the album. But yeah, overall, this album gets a lot of hate, and I get it, because I used to be in that camp. Used to totally hate this album, never wanted to listen to it again. But, I gave it a second chance, and then a third chance, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of digging this. It's good stuff, but like I said, I still won't jump the gun to, jump to pull this off the shelf very often. It's still, when I want to listen to Judas Priest, it's still not something this still isn't the album I would really go to. But still, cool for a listen every now and then. But yeah, I'm hyped to be starting off our Judas Priest discography, and tune in for next time when we look at the second album, Sad Wings of Destiny. Thanks.